tape number 176. We're taping on August the 11th, 1992 for our program of August the 18th. We are very excited in making history as we begin a new command at Navy Dallas. And rather than making history, this wonderful family is beginning a very special history in their tenure at Navy Dallas, and we're very pleased to have the Miller family with us today, and we will introduce them one at a time to you. First of all, the new CO at Navy Dallas, and he is Captain Dana Rick, nickname Miller, and we're delighted to welcome you to the show. Your honor.
Well, we're glad to be here, Ruthie. Thanks for inviting us.
Oh, it's very, very exciting, yes. And your beautiful wife, Barbara Babs, and Babs, we'd like to welcome you to the set, my dear.
Thank you. It's nice to meet you.
And a very handsome young man that is in the Miller family. Scott, we're very delighted to have you as part of this interview.
Thank you.
Thanks. And now to begin our little genealogy, and so that Grand Prairie and Navy Dallas can get to know you a little bit better. Captain Rick Miller, we'd like you to look out into your camera and tell us a little bit about the real Rick Miller. Where you were born, maybe your parents' name. Give us a little background on the Miller.
Okay, Ruthie. I was born in Hagerstown, Maryland. My mother and dad, Dot and Walt Miller, have lived there all their lives. I was introduced to the Navy after graduating from high school through a very good friend of mine who assisted me in getting into the Naval Academy. I became interested in flying, and he was very helpful in getting me into the Naval Academy.
Would you like to name drop?
His name is Larry Richardson, and I believe and I'm not sure of the dates, but he was a one-time employee of LTV, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure what capacity, but I believe he did live in Dallas, Texas at one time.
Yes, because I believe that aircraft factory came originally, part of it, from Hagerstown, Maryland. Is that not right?
I believe it is right. That's right.
That's wonderful.
What a connection. So then I went to the Naval Academy, graduated in 1968. I was very fortunate after graduation to have been selected to participate on the first baseball team that participated as an exhibition sport in the Olympics in 1968 in Mexico City. But let me back up a little bit. Before that, after graduation, shortly after graduation, Babs and I were married, not in Annapolis, but in her hometown in Bethesda, Maryland. After the 2 months in Mexico City, I came back and then entered flight training, and then spent the last 24 years flying in the Navy, most recently coming from Washington, D.C. with a 2-year tour in the Pentagon, and all of the fun that we had there.
Oh, that is an experience. The Pentagon in itself has a reputation all of its own, so I'm sure that you added to that while you were there. Now, let's leave you for just a moment. We have you almost up and a young man, and now let's get to Babs. Babs, would you look out and tell us about your family and a little bit more about how you met Commander Rick, okay?
Okay. My mother, dad, Buck, and Midge Nesbitt, both were married, they were married in New York and moved down to Washington with the government. My father was a civil service person and then joined the Foreign Service, and we served overseas in Beirut, Lebanon in the late 50s and early 60s, and they brought us back to Bethesda, and I graduated, went to the University of Maryland, and while I was a student at Maryland, somebody told me about the Naval Academy in Annapolis, and I had a blind date with Rick's best friend, and we met that night and started dating later on that year, and enjoyed his senior year. I really knew Rick mainly during his senior year, and we were married after that, and lived in Annapolis for a little bit of time after graduation while he trained for the Olympic team. And then we moved to Pensacola and Jacksonville, Florida. We did the flight training syllabus, which brought us to Texas, which was the only other time I've ever been in Texas, and that was in Beeville for about 6 months. And then we went to Jacksonville and Rick became a tar, and we moved to Atlanta and Washington, D.C. We have 3 children. Scott, who is our midshipman now at the Naval Academy. We have his younger brother, who is Bo, is on a music scholarship at LSU, and someday would like to be a major symphony conductor. And we have another child who we lost to leukemia in 1982 while we were stationed in Atlanta.
Would you name him?
His name is Mark Patrick Miller, and he was a wonderful little character and a baseball player and a very bright child, and it was a very difficult time in our lives. And,
but a blessing too.
a tremendous blessing, and we saw the community rise up and take heart, and they helped us, and we met a wonderful community of people at Eggleston Hospital in Atlanta, and just saw the community come together and understand what it is to have a child stricken. And we have healed, and have the 2 children, Scott and Bo, have done very well with their lives. It has changed them as well as it changed us. And they both set their courses straight and have been very diligent to pursue those. And we're very proud of how they've.
Okay, that's wonderful. Now, let's put Scott on front and center. Scott, look out front. Tell us where you were born, when you were born, the excitement of being in a naval family since you followed in the footsteps, not maybe completely, but it's your turn.
I was born in 1970 in Jacksonville, Florida. Lived the life of a Navy brat, I guess you could say.
Good.
But right out of high school, I didn't want to go in the Navy. I decided to go to Georgia Institute of Technology. I went there for a year, and then when I was there, I decided I wanted to go to the Naval Academy. So I applied, was not accepted, went to Marion Military Institute in Marion, Alabama, and so far I've completed my first 2 years at the Naval Academy, and I'll be starting my 2nd class year in August. So excited about that.
Is this a career in the Navy?
We'll find out if it's a career or not. I guess I really don't know. It's a great start to a career, put it that way. It would be exciting if it was a career, but if the Navy's not for me, I'll find out. But so far, it seems like it is. But I'd like to follow in my father's footsteps and be a naval aviator. So I've looked at the wings of gold all my life and have wanted to do the same thing.
And if you aspired for that, what extra would you need to do following maybe your graduation from college?
Well, upon graduation, actually halfway through my 1st class year, I would service select Naval Air, which means they would take the ranking of the class, and you pick what you want to do according to your ranking in the class. And I would select Navy Air, and then I would go down to Pensacola and follow almost exactly the same pattern that he went through upon his graduation in 1968. So it's stayed pretty standard over the 24 years since he graduated.
That's exciting for us to know, your interviewer as well as the people in our video land, because I'm sure that a lot of them aren't familiar with the path that you would need to take to reach that accomplishment. All right, we're going to leave you for just a few minutes. We're going to get back to Babs just one moment. Now, let's talk a little bit more about Bo. We found out a little bit about Scott. We know about your younger son, but now let's give Bo a little bit more time, front and center with Bo.
Bo is an extraordinary personality. And a long, long time ago, when he was just a little tyke, he decided that he loved music. He would come scampering downstairs in his little plaid bathrobe and try to conduct the theme to Falcon Crest. And we knew right there that he had a special little something in his heart, and wanted to play the trumpet from the time he was in the 4th grade, and was very angry with me that he couldn't play the trumpet until he was in the 6th grade. And at which time we put him in the middle school, had a program for music, and he started there and has excelled all along the way. He was first chair in the first band he played in, and has been part of 2 excellent national bands, high school bands that have gone to perform at the Midwest Band and Orchestra Convention in Chicago, Illinois. One of the few students to ever do it 2 years in a row. It doesn't happen because children usually graduate from the same school, and a school cannot repeat itself at the Midwest. So because of a transfer from Atlanta to Washington, Bo was able to go, and although trumpet is his instrument, conducting is in his heart and his spirit. And he does that as his, hopefully be his profession. His avocation is politics. And he is one to discuss politics at the drop of a hat, and is a very difficult person to converse with because he has very strong opinions.
That's wonderful, getting to know Bo, and he's in Atlanta.
Yes, he's in Atlanta now, working with a high school and teaching a trumpet sectional. There are 96 trumpets in the trumpet sectional that he is working with this week. And then he'll come back for the change of command, and what we affectionately call a T&G, a touch and go, and we'll turn around after the day after the change of command and go back to Baton Rouge to start LSU's band camp.
That is wonderful. Thank you for letting us get to know Bo a little better when he is absent today. Okay, let's get back to Captain Miller. Captain Miller, you're taking on a wonderful command at Navy Dallas. But before we get into that command, tell us a little bit about the different flying machines that you've been interested in, and your most favorite of all. That I know that you must have a most favorite of all, because the outgoing commander had a favorite on the show, and we want you to tell about yours, would you?
I sure will. I grew up, after the training command, I flew the A-7. And of course the A-7 was made here at LTV in Dallas. And I flew that most of my career. I have over 3,000 hours in the A-7 aircraft. My last flying tour, before my tour in Washington, I flew I was very fortunate. I was an air wing commander stationed in Jacksonville, Florida. And I was able to fly all of the aircraft in the air wing. I flew the F-14, and I flew here at Dallas with the two F-14 squadrons, VF-201 and 202. I flew the A-6, the E-2, and then I also flew the F/A-18. And I have to admit, flying the Hornet, as it's called, is probably my favorite airplane. Even though I flew the A-7 for so long, the Hornet has the technology and the flying characteristics that it's like being reborn again. It's just a wonderful airplane. So that's my favorite airplane.
And will you get to fly this aircraft while you're at Navy Dallas? Will you continue on with your flying pursuits, or is being commander the first priority?
Being the CEO of Naval Air Station will be my first priority, Ruthie. But I will, being a naval aviator, I will certainly try to get myself in the air. And I have an opportunity to do that. The station has a C-12, small little passenger airplane that we use for logistics flying, and I will be flying that. And we also have 4 A-4 aircraft that we use as adversary for the two F-14 squadrons. And I will be hopefully trying to fly that also. And if I can talk my next door neighbor into letting me fly the F-18 that they're getting, maybe I'll get a chance to fly that also.
Oh, that's exciting. That is exciting.
That would be.
Yes. Now, at Navy Dallas, you're not only the CO for the retired Navy, for the Navy that's on base, but there are several other entities that are under your command. Tell us just a little bit about that, of the different areas that you hold the wand over, so to speak.
Well, we provide services to various organizations on the base. The Naval Reserve Surface Community has a readiness command on board that we provide assistance to. The Texas Air National Guard is a big part of the base. They probably call it their base, their part of the base, but I haven't met those folks yet, but we provide some services to them. And the Naval Reserve Intelligence Command is located also on the base. So those are three that I know of right now. And I'm just in the process of my turnover with Captain Krause and learning about the Naval Air Station. And I've been very impressed with everything that I've heard and all the people that I've met so far.
The Grand Prairie Chamber of Commerce has a military affairs committee, and I serve on that committee, and it's very exciting. And because of that, we're always able to get your little Sky Ranger, your little newspaper that you have.
Super.
And that's a wonderful little, I guess, flyer, because it has advertisements in it, but it has good stuff about the Navy and all of the other entities there. And it has, in this time, they have the last call from Captain Krause, and then they have a preview of coming attractions, and that's you. And that's going to be very exciting to read about you and to hear about you. And Grand Prairie is very interested in this, since you bring a lot of economic development to Grand Prairie, Texas.
Yes.
And I served on the city council in the past for about 7 years, and I knew of the networking between Navy Dallas and the city of Grand Prairie. And even though you're located in Dallas, in the confines of Dallas, you really belong to Grand Prairie, Texas.
We do.
Yes, you do. We've always claimed you, whether or not the governmental entities allow that or not. And of course, we were there last week for the Fugate Cemetery unveiling of the state marker. And y'all have done so many things, and you celebrated your 50th anniversary of Navy Dallas in '91. You have a wonderful heritage there. Tell us some of the things that you may have in mind, other than just keeping house at Navy Dallas. Is there anything special you want to do while you're there?
Well, we want to maintain the strong relationship between the Naval Air Station and the community. And yes, we will have strong ties to Grand Prairie. I think that's probably the most important thing to me outside the station, is to maintain that relationship and get involved with the community in as many different ways as we can. That's a big part of the Naval Air Station in my mind. But I really haven't thought about too many other things, Ruthie. I've been concentrating on this past week. I've been here less than a week, and been pretty full of briefings and just getting to know people at the Naval Air Station. And I'm really looking forward to meeting all of the fine folks out in Grand Prairie in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
In the past, Navy Dallas has adopted a school in Grand Prairie, and I believe during the last tenure it has been Crockett Elementary School, and it's up the street just a few blocks. However, there is one elementary school in Grand Prairie, Texas, that because of Navy Dallas, we got a brand new school. We were in your flight pattern and in the noise zone, and because of that, the Navy and the government built us a brand new elementary school, and that's the Fannin School, Fannin Elementary. And we want to thank the Navy and Martin Frost and all the powers that be, because we have a soundproof school that is out of the flight pattern, and it's wonderful, a brand new school. Because so the Navy does cause good things to happen to a community outside of economic development.
Yes.
And we're looking forward to the many things that you'll do in that direction. All right, now let's get back to Scott. Scott, tell us a little bit about your hobbies, other than just say Navy and going to school and all of this good stuff. Let us get to know you a little bit better if you'll share.
Well, in addition to being at school, I also enjoy athletics a lot, and I played baseball ever since I was a tyke. I think when I came home from the hospital, there's a little plastic bat and ball in my crib.
Got it to work right away.
So I mean, and being that he was on the baseball team for the United States, it was kind of they pushed me in that direction, which I thoroughly enjoyed all my life. But once I got to the academy, I couldn't compete on the same level as the college students, and so I delved into the intramurals, and I've played just about everything. There's a sport that's only found in two places. One of them is at the Naval Academy, and the other one's in federal penitentiaries. It's called field ball. It's a weird mix of a bunch of sports. I played football in high school. I played my sophomore through senior year, and also played full contact football at the academy. A variety of other sports. I really enjoy golf. I saw the golf course right outside in Grand Prairie. I can't remember the name of it, but
That's our municipal course on South 14th Street.
I'm
East
really
14th.
looking forward to playing that.
Excellent.
Me
Play-
too.
Trying to play Monday, sometime this week actually.
Yes.
But sports are a big part of my life. I like little hobbies, like building models are fun. But sports and being in the Navy right now are me.
All right, and how often do you anticipate that you'll get to come home?
Oh, no, that's difficult.
Yes.
Because being at school, we're busy for most of the year.
And where is it located?
It's in Annapolis, Maryland.
All right.
And they keep us busy. I'll only have 4 days for Thanksgiving leave, we call it. And since our family is up in Maryland, I'll spend time there with the family up
Your
there.
grandparents.
Grandparents and aunts and uncles and all kinds of fun stuff like
Good
that.
food.
That's right. And then I'll probably be home next time. Will be Christmas, and I'll spend most of my Christmas leave here, and then probably again spring breaks sometime in March. And then during the summers we only get about 30 days of leave. Out of the 3 months we get off, we get about 30 days. The other 2 months are spent in training for the Navy. Since it's our job to go to school, they keep us busy as much as possible. So I spend 2 months of my time training. This past summer I trained the incoming class. I was a member of the team that trained the incoming class of 1996. And it was really interesting to see the way the whole system is set up. It's a neat thing to watch.
Good leadership.
Hopefully, that's what they tried to teach us, and it's Navy-wide. I think that leadership from the top, the captains and above, all the way down to the midshipmen who are learning it as well. It's a whole new program the Navy's putting in.
That's great. All right, Babs, you're next. What does Babs do other now than her new assignment of taking care of all of the wonderful ladies at Navy Dallas and all of the visitors and all of the things? Do you have hobbies other than the assignment that Captain Rick has given to you?
Well, I've enjoyed a life of being a mother and a wife, and have done what I call my mental health jobs on the side,
Yes,
things to keep Babs mentally healthy. And I do look forward to working with the Red Cross on the Naval Air Station. I started working Red Cross when I was in high school, and would like to go back to that after our little stint with the hospitals with Mark. That's been something that's always interested me in caring for people who are hurting. And this is a wonderful opportunity and a time that I can be able to do that. I enjoy classical music and learning classical music along with our son.
Wonderful.
Who has an avid interest and is very unaccepting of mom and dad when we don't know what he's listening to. So that's another area that is intriguing me as well. I would very much like to become involved in the community, and as we're new here, I am learning what is available in Grand Prairie and the Dallas area, and would like to become very involved and bring the Navy into the community as much as possible. And so I'm sure that's going to keep me quite busy.
All right. Commander Rick, you're next. Is there anything you would like to say to the people of Grand Prairie, Texas, relating to the Navy's relationship with the community, maybe what you expect of them or look forward to from them, and what the Navy can count on? And are you going to bring back the Blue Angels one more time?
Well, you know, I asked that question when I that was one of the first questions I asked Ruthie was, what about the air show? Because I know it's such a popular event here. And what I heard was that we're trying very hard to bring back the Blue Angels in the September-October timeframe of '93.
93.
So we'll keep everyone informed of the progress of that evolution. I just want to say that I look forward to meeting the leaders and as many people as I can in the Chamber of Commerce and any other individual in the community that we can talk with and show them the base and show them the facility and what we do, and become a part of the community. I want to make sure that the base is a part of the community, and the community feels that the base is part of their community. That's very important to me. So I just look forward to meeting as many people out there as I can, Ruthie.
And one almost last request. I'd like for you to look back into your camera, and I'd like for you to talk to the young people that may be watching our show. I'd like for you to encourage them. Tell them how important it is to set their sights, to get their education. If they're going to get an appointment to West Point, how important it is they apply themselves. We have about 2.5 minutes left, and you can take the whole 2.5 minutes if you'd like to. If you'll encourage our youth, that's important.
Well, perhaps I should let Scott say how important that is, because I think that's one thing that he's learned as he's grown up, of how important it is to do your best, put everything you have into your education or to your athletics, so that you can let those guide you in your future. There's no secret that, there might be a secret to some people, but what you do in your high school and your education at this point will determine what you do initially after you get out of high school, whether or not you go to college. And it's becoming very competitive getting into college, and especially into the Naval Academy or West Point or the Air Force Academy. The number of applications that they receive and the number of people that actually go is a very small percentage of that group. So it is critical that you do the best that you can, and everything that you're doing, study hard, the good grades, the scores on the SAT tests, and your participation in other activities, whether it's athletics or music or anything. Get involved and do what you can, do the most that you can. It'll pay dividends the rest of your life.
You bet. All right, Scott, you're going to have to wrap it up then. We have about another minute, and you can give your exhortation.
Well, as far as college and that whole aspect is concerned, just from my point of view, is just keep trying. I mean, it took me 2 years to get to the Naval Academy, and it is what I realized I wanted to do. And the biggest lesson that I've learned is perseverance. Keep persevering, trying your hardest to do whatever you set your mind to do. Complete your task, basically, and hopefully I'll be able to complete mine with 2 more years to go at school, and then the career in the Naval Service will be hopefully my life. Or, like I said, we'll see what happens with that. But perseverance is definitely the key word for me.
All right, Babs, we must let the lady have the last shot at the girls.
Absolutely.
How about to the girls? We have about half or 3/4 of a minute left, and it's yours.
I think each person has to individually set their own goals and be patient with themselves in attaining them, keeping that goal very much in view. There are many ways to achieve whatever goal you set forward for yourself. And sometimes life has little divergences that we're not sure about when they arrive, but they can be blessings in disguise. And I think that for young ladies today, there is a world of opportunity available to them. It's a matter of setting your goals and seeking all forms of opportunity to achieve them. And don't be dissuaded by misfortune or by things not always falling in your way, because there may be other blessings out there available for you.
I want to thank you, our wonderful family, the Millers. Captain Rick Miller, CO, Commanding Officer of the World of Navy Dallas.
Thank you.
Babs, it's wonderful to have you on the set. And Scott, young man, it has been a pleasure to have you with us. Tell Bo we missed him, but we did him justice, I believe, on the show. Thank you all for taking time to be with Grand Prairie and helping us complete a brand new beginning history of your tenure at Navy Dallas, Grand Prairie, Texas.